There's a mall outside Atlanta with a room the public doesn't know about. It's not on the blueprints, not on the fire maps, not even labeled on staff directories. But a few former employees have confirmed this. Room B is real. It's a small locked room behind a maintenance hallway, marked only with a stenciled B. Inside, just one thing, a wall of monitors. But here's the catch. They don't show live feeds. They show tomorrow. And one night, a new security hire went in. Just once. The screens showed all the usual mall footage, but he wasn't in any of it. Not walking the halls, not in the office, not at his post. According to the footage, he was already gone. Then, at 4:18 a.m., the screens went black. A single line appeared. Do not enter room B again. He quit that week. And to this day, every security guard who replaces him doesn't last long. And no one ever sees them on camera.
This one came from someone named Lexi, who worked in a downtown Atlanta office. She said nothing strange ever happened until one new intern showed up and then never left. I used to work front desk at a marketing firm in downtown Atlanta. Nothing fancy, just answering phones, buzzing in deliveries, and ordering lunch for the office. We were a small team, maybe 14 people total. Everyone knew everyone. Every day around 11 a.m., I'd send a text asking what people wanted from the spot we rotated to that day. One day was Thai, the next was sandwiches, you get it. We used a service that printed out the receipt and bag labels for us once I entered everything online. Never had an issue until a Tuesday in March. I placed the order as usual. I even double-checked names before submitting. When the food arrived, the receipt was one line longer than what I'd submitted. It listed an item at the bottom. Capri's Sandwich, Cara M. I didn't recognize that name. I asked around, nobody claimed it. Everyone said, "Who's Cara?" Then Nicole from HR said, "That's our new intern, right? Marketing?" I said, "We don't have an intern." She furrowed her brow. "Yeah, we do. The one who started last week. Brown hair, kinda quiet." No one else said a word. I asked, "Have you actually talked to her?" Nicole blinked. "I thought I had. I've seen her in the hallway." That was weird enough. But then later that day, I got an email from Cara M. It was short. "Thank you for including me in the lunch order." It came from our internal system. Full name, company signature. Like she'd been set up in the system by IT. I checked the employee directory. No Cara, not in HR's intern list, not in onboarding, nothing. I went to HR myself. Nicole wasn't there, but the director, Angela, looked confused when I asked. "There's no new intern. We haven't had one since December." I showed her the email. She tried searching the username. Nothing came up. I was starting to get that cold, crawling feeling in my chest. Later that week, I stayed late helping with a project. Everyone else was gone. I walked past the copy room and saw a light on inside. Someone was standing at the printer. She had long brown hair. I froze. She didn't turn around, just picked up a stack of papers and walked away. I followed her, barely. I didn't want to be obvious. She turned down a hallway that led to the locked IT office. I hurried to catch up. But when I turned the corner, she was gone. The hallway was empty. The door to IT was locked, lights off. No other rooms she could have entered. I reported it the next day. Angela looked pale. She asked me to stop asking questions, said IT would handle it. The next Monday, I logged in to place our usual lunch order. The app crashed twice. When it finally worked, the receipt printed with the names. At the very bottom, Capri's Sandwich, Cara M. Again. I didn't type it in. I hadn't even submitted the final cart. And this time, when the delivery arrived, Cara's sandwich was in a separate bag, stapled closed, with my name handwritten on it. This one came from a guy named Eli. He lived near an old church that had been empty for years, until he heard music coming from the basement. When I was 17, my bedroom window looked directly at the back of a boarded-up church. It sat right next to our duplex in Decatur, Georgia. The kind of old brick building with stained glass windows that had long since faded to dirty grays and browns. I don't know when it closed. My mom just said, "It's been dead since I was your age." The place always gave me a weird feeling, but I got used to it. During the day, it was just a building. At night, it looked more like a silhouette than a structure. Still, harmless. That changed on a Saturday in October. I was lying in bed with the window cracked when I heard music. Not like a car stereo or anything, it was hymns. Organ music, low and echoing. I sat up, thinking maybe someone had broken in. I didn't see any lights, just the faint music floating across the lawn like it was coming from underground. The next morning, I mentioned it to my mom. She said I was probably dreaming, but I knew I wasn't. I didn't tell her I was going to check it out. But that night, around midnight, I grabbed a flashlight and went out back. The church doors were all locked, so I walked the perimeter. That's when I noticed a metal bulkhead in the ground behind the church, half covered in vines. One of the padlocks was broken. I pulled it open and found a staircase leading down. The basement smelled like wet brick and dust. My flashlight barely cut through the dark, but there were shelves, tables, a collapsed piano, and what looked like a stack of folded sleeping bags. I almost turned back until I saw something familiar on the floor. A sheet of paper, torn at the top, lined. It looked just like the kind I used at school. I picked it up. It was a homework page. My name was written in the top corner, my actual handwriting, my actual assignment. It was a rough draft of something I'd turned in 2 days ago. There was no way it could have ended up here. Suddenly, I heard a floorboard creak above me. I shut off my flashlight and ducked behind one of the shelves. Another creak, then another. It sounded like someone walking slowly in the chapel above. Then, music, the organ again, faint but real. After a minute, it stopped. I waited, listened. Nothing else. I snuck back up the stairs and went home without looking back. The next day, I checked my backpack. My rough draft was missing. Only the final version I'd turned in was still there. I asked around at school, trying to act casual. No one had seen anyone near the church. The next week, the music came back. Only this time, it started at 2:17 a.m. sharp. It played the same song again. I set an alarm the next night. Same time, 2:17 a.m. Exact same music. I tried recording it, but nothing came through on my phone. Just static. Then, one night, I saw movement in the yard between our house and the church. I turned off my light and peeked through the blinds. Someone was standing by the bulkhead. They were wearing a dark robe, the kind that looked too heavy for Georgia weather. Their head was bowed, and they were holding something that flickered, maybe a candle. I blinked. When I looked again, they were gone. I haven't been back down to the basement since, but 2 weeks later, I got my English paper back. Stapled to it was a second page, typed, single-spaced, no name. It was a perfect rewrite of my rough draft, only better. I asked the teacher where it came from. She said, "You must have added it. It was in your folder." Only I didn't add anything. And the page ended with this sentence: "You're almost ready. Come back down." This story was sent in by someone named Marcus. He says he quit his job the same week it happened and hasn't stepped foot in a mall since. I started working security at Riverstone Mall just outside Atlanta. It was a quiet job, mostly walking the floors, checking fire exits, and chasing off the occasional kid trying to skateboard inside. The place was old but clean. Half the stores were local, half were big names, nothing fancy. The head of security, Ron, was an ex-cop with zero patience for anything. His instructions were simple. Don't fall asleep, don't miss your patrol check-ins, and never go into room B. At first, I thought he was joking. I even asked, "There's a room A?" He didn't laugh, just said, "Don't worry about room B." Naturally, that made me curious. On the second floor, behind a fire door labeled Maintenance, was a hallway of old storage rooms. One had a big black letter B stenciled on it. Thick metal door, no keypad, just a regular lock. Over the next few weeks, I asked some of the other guards. None of them had been inside it either. A couple didn't even know it existed. But one night, Ron called out sick. I was in charge, and I found his master keyring in the drawer. I knew I shouldn't, but curiosity won. Around 3 a.m., I went up there, used the key, and opened room B. The lights flickered on automatically. Inside was a full monitor wall, dozens of screens showing every angle of the mall. But something was wrong. The timestamp on the bottom corner of each screen said 8:14:22 a.m., Tuesday. But it was Monday. I looked again. All the shops were open, kids walking around. Food court crowded. I glanced at the time, 3:07 a.m., Monday. I checked the footage again. That was definitely tomorrow's crowd, and I wasn't on any screen. I'd be at the mall tomorrow morning, walking these halls, but no matter how long I scanned the cameras, I was nowhere. Even when the cameras showed the security office, it was empty, my shift, my post, but I wasn't there. I watched for over an hour. At 4:18 a.m., the footage on the screens froze. All at once. Then the monitors went black, and a line of green text appeared on the center screen. "Do not enter room B again." I backed out slowly, locked the door. I didn't say anything the next day. I figured maybe it was some weird test or prank. But when Ron came back, he looked straight at me and said, "You opened it, didn't you?" I nodded. He sighed, sat down across from me. "You're not going to be on camera today. Just do your job. Don't go near that room again." I asked him, "What happens if someone does?" He just said, "They disappear quietly." I quit that Friday, but every once in a while I go to the mall as a regular shopper, just to see, and I swear, I've never seen another security guard since.